Welcome to SEC After Dark. Here's our pick segment. I'm Corey Burton from the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast, also Illegal Motion as well. Joining me for the picks is Steven Willis. You can find him on Locked On Ole Miss. And then you have Jeb Beecham and Jake Thomas from Tide Talk Live. And I think y'all are still running Best of the West, right?
Yeah, we had a show last week.
And Jeb's a person.
Jeb is a dude.
Social media.
And now this week we have Becky to join us on the picks, so I don't have to read it.
That's right.
So Becky can make the picks. So
hi, y'all.
We're gonna start. Hey, Becky. So we're gonna start with my man from Tide Talk Live. We're gonna kind of work backwards a little bit. So Jake, we talked about this game earlier. Bama 20-point favorites on the road in Austin. What you got?
I think Alabama covers. I got 48-21. That still covers the game. We said that it could be close in the first half. Second half, the depth's going to come in, and Alabama's just going to roll. So I'm taking Alabama 48-21, and they cover the spread.
Jeb?
I like Texas's offense. I think they are good. They've got some good skill players. I am definitely picking Alabama to cover the spread with no problem.
Steve?
This is one of those games that I worry could be like a Texas disaster, to where you kind of Shane Falco it and get some quicksand going on, and it gets away from them fairly quickly, and Bama ends up winning this game like 50-10. So I'm going to go with Bama to cover relatively easily.
Becky?
I'm going to go with Alabama also.
All right, and I'll make it a clean sweep here. I think you're going to be biting your nails late in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden you're going to look up and go, okay, this game got out of hand quick. So I'm taking Alabama. What happened here? Oh my God, what happened here? All right, so South Carolina, game we just got finished talking about. They travel to Fayetteville to take on Arkansas. Arkansas is 8.5-point favorites at home. Jake, how do you see it, man?
Shane Beamer is a really good coach, and he still needs a signature win, I believe, and I think he gets it this week. I don't know if they can win outright, but playing hard and playing well and being close, I think they can do. And Arkansas is still trying to find another playmaker on the outside after losing Burks last year, so I think they can keep it close. And I'm actually thinking that South Carolina can keep it within like a field goal game.
Jeb?
Well, my only debate was whether or not it was the spread. I definitely think Arkansas is winning, and the only reason I'm worried about that is because Arkansas, with their running game, may decide to just run the ball the whole game and basically keep it closer than it needs to be, where it's not really in doubt. But I'm still taking Arkansas to cover that spread. I think they win by a couple touchdowns.
Steve?
All right. I look for Arkansas to run the ball, just like Jeb said. Eat the clock and do whatever, and you end up winning a game like 27-13 is about what I think this game is going to end up. But I'll take Arkansas to cover.
Becky?
Well, after listening to y'all talk about it, I feel dumb, but I'm going to stick with South Carolina.
There you go. Well, Jake agrees with you, but I'm going Arkansas here. I think defense is going to pick off Spencer Rattler a couple of times, maybe even return one to the house. I think it's going to be hard for South Carolina to cover this spread. I'm not sure that I'm going to take the over, but I do. And Arkansas did scare me a little bit, but they still covered against Cincinnati. I think they cover this one as well. I think worst case scenario, it's a 30-20 game. Now we go to the game of the century. Wake Forest traveling to Nashville. Wake Forest getting Sam Hartman back, a little breath of fresh air. They are 13-point favorites on the road at Vanderbilt. Jake, does Sam Hartman, after missing a month, does he come back and give Vandy some life?
Give Vandy some life. You mean give Wake Forest some life? But
Wake Forest, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, the question with Sam Hartman is he game ready? I mean, has he been practicing any? Has he even taken any kind of snaps, even on the practice field?
He had to, right? If they cleared it.
You don't see anything on it. I mean, and he just had a surgery for a blood clot, so
Well, it's Wake Forest. Not really. I
Right.
don't think Wake Forest media knows that the football team exists.
Right. But I'm actually taking Vandy to cover the spread because Mike Wright right now is playing out of his mind, and he looks really good right now. I think, if the Vandy team shows up that played against Hawaii, they can keep it close. If the one that showed up last week against Elon, it might get out of hand early. But I think Vandy will come in and
I don't
play
know
hard.
that you're gonna. I don't know that you're gonna get that team, but Jeb, how do you see it?
Actually, it feels really weird having faith in Vanderbilt, but I really do feel like
Yeah.
they can at least cover the spread, if not win this game. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably not going to win the game, but I really like Mike Wright too. I love the way he's playing right now. So I don't know. I'm gonna start believing him until they give me a reason not to, which might be this week. They might make it all the way to Alabama before I lose faith in them, but we'll see. I'm thinking Vandy.
Steve?
I am taking Wake Forest. I was thinking about taking Vandy all until the time when Sam Hartman got cleared, because I just think he's a really good quarterback, and I think his mind will be the difference in being able to separate the Vandy defenders and everything. So I'm thinking Wake Forest somewhere in the neighborhood of 35-24. Or
That's not a cover.
no,
That's not a cover.
Yeah, I want it to cover. My thing disappeared off of me. 35-17. How about
There you
that?
go.
There you go.
Yeah,
I was like, that's not a cover. You might want
yeah.
to Vandy. That's your
I was
prediction
waiting.
there.
I was refreshing the stream, and my media disappeared, so I forgot what they were favored by. Yeah.
There you go. Becky, what you got?
I'm gonna go Vandy this week to cover.
Okay, having faith
Choice.
in the Commodores. I'm with Steve here. I think Wake is too explosive when they have Hartman at quarterback, and I just think that Vandy has some issues on defense. I don't know if it was weather delay issues or what, but they do give up a lot of points. And I don't know how long they can ride this. Mike Wright train. I hope I'm wrong for the sake of Vandy, because it's fun to kind of root for them because they suck. And Mike Wright's so much fun to watch. But I never thought this was going to be a win for Vandy. I thought Vandy was always going to come 3-1 into Bama, and I think this is their one. And with this line, maybe a lot of points, but I do think Wake does ultimately cover. Next game, Missouri at Kansas State. This is
Big 8.
Big 8 rivalry week here for Mizzou. I just have a hard time buying Mizzou. Jake, they're 6-point underdogs, or is that an 8? That's 8-point underdogs. Even worse, they're 8-point underdogs on the road at K-State. Do you believe in Mizzou, or is it Wildcat Power? Whatever their little
Go Power Cat.
There you
Yeah.
go. Go Power Cat. There you go.
It's tough to go into Bill Snyder Stadium and win a game for sure. But K-State just lost an offensive lineman for the year and a linebacker for the year. Both got injured in their first game of the year. It may change some things. And Missouri, they actually shot me last week and looked really, really good. Another guy, Jankowitz, he needs a signature win. So if he goes into K-State and wins, I think that would be it. So I'm actually taking Missouri to cover and win.
There you go.
Nah.
Jeb.
I feel like that Missouri win was fool's gold. They look good, but against Louisiana Tech, no. I'm not getting fooled by it. I'm taking Kansas State to win this game, cover that spread.
Steve.
Yeah. I'm going with Kansas State to cover in this game. I think they're just a good, hard-nosed 90s style football team. I like Kansas State. I want to see Kansas State and Kansas play. I wish they could play 4 times this year because I enjoy that style of football. And I think they're going to be too much. Mizzou had a surprisingly good defense. Their performance against La Tech defensively was actually pretty good. They still seem to be lacking weapons offensively. They obviously have not replaced Tyler Beatty yet. So we'll see what this looks like, but I think Kansas State is going to cover.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Steve. I think it's just I just don't believe in Missouri. I don't think Brady Cook can do it. I think on the road, Kansas State's a more physical team. I just think that Eli Drinkwitz is just not a good fit there. Is he a bad coach? Probably not, but he's not right for what Missouri needs. So I'm gonna take the Wildcats here. So next game we App
What about
State
Becky?
fresh. Oh, Becky, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Missouri.
Mhm.
Their defense is going to get it done.
There we go.
There you go. It's got. I got to get used to Becky being on the mic.
Yeah, because you can't
Yeah.
see her, so it's easy to
I know.
forget her.
I got to get used to her being on the mic. So, thanks for reminding me. All right, our next
Anytime.
game is App State. They are fresh off of a near victory, which, if you believe in moral victories, this was every bit of one. 63. They were on the wrong end of a 63-61 shootout again at home against North Carolina. They travel to Kyle Field in College Station. They take on Texas 8-4. The Ags are minus 18.5. They're 18.5 point favorites at home. Jake?
I'm actually taking App State to cover. I mean, A&M looked abysmal through the first 3 quarters in their game against Sam Houston State. And if they get off to a slow start against App State can put up points real quick. And they could be down the 8 ball really, really quick and really, really early. So if Texas A&M's defense is really good, but App State can put up points, and they may get 1 and 2 here. And until that offense starts clicking for A&M, they're going to struggle this year. And I think the 18.5 points is really, really a lot in this game. So I'm taking App State.
Jeb.
Yeah, I debated this one for a while because I wasn't sure which way to go with this one either. Just because of the spread, I thought they might be able to cover. I don't think they're going to win. But in the end, I kind of decided they played such a crazy game last week, which by the way was a lot of fun. Just trying to figure out who's going to win that game in the end, because neither team seemed to really just either they both wanted it too much or neither wanted it. I don't know what was going on, but either way, I think maybe that emotional letdown, and then coming in and A&M just being as good as they are, I think A&M's going to end up covering this, so I'm picking them this time. But it's debatable.
Steve.
Yeah, I'm going with A&M, even though that stretch play by App State is just a thing of beauty, and that needs to be hung in the Louvre. They do such a fantastic job with that play, and I think that's going to give DJ Durkin, they're going to pop a couple of those in this game. But, yeah, not since Terrell Davis have I seen somebody run that play so well with the Broncos back in the day. But I do think Texas A&M is going to cover. It's going to be something like 42-21.
Becky.
I think A&M's going to struggle. It's going to be App State this week.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with Jake and Becky here. App State showed me something. They're explosive, and I don't necessarily think they're going to win, but I do think they cover because A&M just they're trying to find answers at the most important position on the field, and I think App State is good enough to score with them. So I think it's going to be a cover. It may be Texas A&M by 17 points, which is an App State cover. So I'm taking the points here. I think the spread's a little much.
Yeah, and also I think Miami comes to town next week. There's a chance for a look ahead.
Exactly. It's all a recipe for one of those games where you're like, is App State for real here?
Mm-hmm.
Or what's wrong with Texas A&M? Maybe they're not the team.
That's going to be the question.
Yeah. Maybe the $31 million team is not what we thought they were. Anyway, we have a very, very important matchup at Centra Stadium. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, used to be Heinz
Centra
Field.
Field, what used to be the giant ketchup bottle. Anyway, Tennessee's looking for revenge here. They're 6.5 point road favorites at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a really solid transfer player at quarterback in Keaton Slovis. Pittsburgh is one of the very few teams that is a legitimate contender in the ACC. They play some good defense over there, but the over-under, I think, is 66.5 in this one. So, Jake, do the Vols cover, and do they hit the over?
I think the cover, hitting the over might be tough, but Jeb, you talked about emotional high and emotional loss. I mean, Pitt was in an emotional game last week. They had to come back from behind to win. So they still may be on that emotional high, and Tennessee is a different animal this year than they were last year with Hendon Hooker at quarterback. So I think the Vols get it done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like their transfer quarterback. I actually didn't know why they were ranked at the beginning of the season because I thought, they lost Kenny Pickett and their top receiver. But Slovis is actually playing well, but the rest of the team is not catching up quite as well. I think Tennessee's going to score lots of points in this game. I think they'll score some too. I actually would take the over on the 66.5. So, because I think there'll be a lot of scoring, but I think Tennessee will kind of run away with it.
Steve?
Yeah, Keaton Slovis, who took the USC job away from JT Daniels, beat JT Daniels last week. Keaton Slovis lost the USC job to Jackson Dart, who's now at Ole Miss. Well, I think ESPN just needs to put together a jamboree. I think people would watch that of just players that used to be quarterbacks at USC. And
That all beat each other out.
yeah. It's one of those things where I think Tennessee is going to win this game. I think Tennessee is going to win this game by multiple scores. I think last year Pitt beat them, but they beat them with Joe Milton. And
right.
And that needs to be said over and over and over again. And Hendon Hooker's a heck of a quarterback, and he's doing real good stuff in that offense. And I just think Tennessee might win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Becky?
Rocky Top, baby. We're going to be hearing it a lot.
Well, every time they get a first down, they play Rocky Top. So.
Yeah. It's a gain of 3.
Yeah.
You knew it was Tennessee week when Sanford Stadium was blaring Rocky Top for hours on hours on hours on end every Tuesday during Tennessee week.
When Tennessee played Oklahoma, it was like every 3-yard gain, either Rocky Top or Boomer Sooner got played. It was like that. 2 songs got played that night.
Now you need a jamboree with Florida State, and every time someone touches the ball, it's either War Chant, Boomer Sooner, or Rocky Top.
Yeah.
Maybe all 3 at the same time. Picture that. So I'm taking Tennessee here. Tennessee favorite 6.5. I think they're going to double that spread. And it's not because I think Pittsburgh is bad. I think this will be a really good game. It'll get off to kind of a slow start where like you have 2 heavyweight boxers that jab each other. And then the second quarter, they'll start landing some haymakers, and I think Tennessee has more in the bank than Pittsburgh at this point. So I like the Vols. I think Cedric Tillman's going to have a huge, huge day, and Hendon Hooker likewise in the run game is going to have a huge day as well. So I like the Vols. I'm tempted to pick the Vols and the over on this, but that one's a
34-31 goes over.
Yes,
that's a good point.
Yes. A couple games that are no line: Georgia, Samford, Ole Miss, Central Arkansas, and LSU Southern. All of those are no line, so all of those are clean sweep of Georgia, Ole Miss, and LSU. So we will not pick those games. So our next game is Kentucky traveling to Florida. Florida is actually 5-point favorites on this. Jake.
Yeah, I think Florida covers. They look really good, against maybe Utah wasn't a 7th-ranked team, but they're still a very, very good team in the Pac-12. They'll probably win the Pac-12 this year. But so having a good win against them, I think it builds up some momentum. And I think, Kentucky doesn't, really owns Florida in the swamp, but I just don't see how Kentucky's going to move the ball because Will Levis is good, but other than that, they have nobody. So I'm taking Florida.
Yep.
I disagreed for a couple reasons. One, Florida did look a lot better than I thought they would, and I just don't want to overreact to it, like ranking them 12th in the nation, which just seems silly to me at this point.
It is.
Maybe eventually they'll earn that, but I don't think they have yet. But Kentucky, I know that they have some issues too and got a kind of slow start. But they're still a really good team. I think they've got to get, they got to figure out the whole run game, but they are working on that. And I think they really, really were going to want to win this game. I think they're going to come in and play really hard. In the end, Florida may end up winning it, but I'm going to say that Kentucky covers and it ends up being like a 3 or 4 point game.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Steve?
I blame Dan Mullen, and I see him on ESPN, and I blame him all the time because he ruined, before Joe Milton, my favorite joke of all time was the Atlantic will defeat Florida before Kentucky does. And that was just a fantastic joke, and it got ruined for me, and I still say it all the time, even though Kentucky wins this game. I think Florida is going to do it just because Kentucky doesn't have that running back, that running game. And offensively, there's some offensive line issues that they're going to have to deal with. So you're going to have to ask Will Levis to win this game by himself, and I don't know if Will Levis is honestly good enough to do that. I'm still at the point where his first-round draft grade is kind of fool's gold. So we'll see what happens there, but I'm going with the Florida Gators.
Becky?
I'm going to go Kentucky. I hope they embarrass Florida.
Becky, I hope you are right, but I think conventional wisdom is going to tell me that Kentucky's lack of firepower on offense and their lack of any sort of semblance of a run game is going to put Will Levis in a really bad spot, and Florida can play a little defense. So it's going to be tight for a while because Kentucky is also good on the defensive side of the ball, but I do think Florida ends up winning by a touchdown. I think it's going to be one of those, kind of like the Utah game where they trade touchdowns, and then the fourth quarter, I think Florida's going to close the deal. This is a really well-coached team, and I think they execute down the stretch.
I agree.
Our next game, this one's a tough one to pick, but it's San Jose State traveling to the Plains. They're 23-point dogs coming into the Plains. This one's a difficult one to pick. I will give my explanation here in just a minute, but Jake, what do you think?
From Auburn's Auburn this year, we don't know exactly how they're going to be. TJ Finley, he got pulled. Robbie Asher played a little bit, and then I think a freshman quarterback got in at some point against Mercer last week. But San Jose State, from what I know, they've never been really a good team. So I think Auburn at home wins and covers.
All right, Jeb.
Yeah, I'm taking Auburn too. I don't like the spread just because Auburn seems like they're going to be a really consistent team this year. But at this point, I don't. San Jose State, I just don't think it's a very good team, and Auburn has the tools to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and take them to cover for now.
I'm going with Auburn just because of Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter. I think between the two of them, they have enough to beat San Jose State by 4 touchdowns, and so we'll go with the Barners there.
Yep.
All right, Becky.
I'm going to go San Jose State just because I think the spread's too much.
Okay.
She may be right on that.
The spread is high. The spread is very, very high. So I'm gonna go Auburn though. I still think they cover. They had a hard time covering against Mercer, which kind of scares me. And San Jose State is not the same San Jose State that you know. So, but I'm going to take Auburn because it's a home SEC game, and they're probably going to be tired of hearing how they couldn't cover against Mercer. So I'm going to take the Barn. And last but not least, we have Mississippi State, the Pirate. That game is now up to 11 points, favored in the direction of the road team, Mississippi State Bulldogs. They travel across the country to Tucson, take on the Wildcats of Arizona. Jake, does Mississippi State cover or does Arizona bear down here?
No, I think I think Mississippi State covers and wins this game. I think Arizona didn't win a single game last year, so they're still trying to, rebuild. And I just think offensively, Mississippi State with Will Rogers is going to have a big game, and Mississippi State's going to win this game.
All right, Jeb.
Well, unfortunately, I have to agree there. I don't think Arizona's that good this year either, so I'm going with Mississippi State.
All right, Arizona beat San Diego State in the debut of their stadium last week. Won the game by 11 points. They had a couple of players that were big time. If they can get loose, they might not win the game outright, but I think they might have enough to cover that 11-point line. So Mississippi State's going to have to fight. It's a 10 o'clock Central kickoff, 11 o'clock Eastern in Tucson. The SEC teams do not fare well when they go that direction generally, save for Vanderbilt whenever they get there a week ahead of time. and I don't think Mississippi State's going to do that. So we'll see exactly what happens. They're obviously familiar in that part of the country with how to deal with Mike Leach because of the Washington State stuff. He came through there. That formula to stop him was constructed in the Pac-12. So I think Arizona covers.
All righty. Becky?
I'm picking Mike Leach.
The Pirate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pirate here. I think he's also used to winning in this part of the country, and I'm excited to kind of see what his offense has in store on the road. I think they're doing some good things. I don't know what that means for their SEC West fate, but I do think they are doing some good things. So I'm gonna take the Pirate here at -11. If the spread was any larger, I'd be tempted to go with Arizona, but I'm gonna go Mississippi State here. So,
Yep.
Deep breath. That'll do it for our pick segment. That is SEC After Dark pick segment.
Real quick, before we get out of here, I do want to say the SEC has games this week on ABC, on Fox, on FS1.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, the SEC is everywhere this weekend.
You can't escape it.
Yeah, they'll be on ABC like three straight weeks. I think they were on ABC week 1, and Ole Miss and Georgia Tech will be on in week 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Georgia Oregon was the ABC game.
Yeah.
So the
Oh,
ABC the ABC 3:30 game
Yeah, that's true.
is the definition of culture shock.
Seriously.
That is awesome.
Ole Miss went out to Arizona and played a baseball series last year, and it was like 120 degrees, and they're all just watching the game and doing like normal. And you looked out there, and the Ole Miss players looked like they just wanted to die.
Well, it'll be hot this time too.
Yeah. People don't understand when it comes to the West Coast like that. They're like, it's a dry heat. It's a dry heat. No, it feels like when you open an oven. That's how it feels down there. It might be sticky and wet down here. It's just different heat. But down there, it's like you open an oven. I went to Vegas, walked outside, and I was like, oh, my gosh, I think I got the vapors. Oh, no.
Oh, no, man. Yeah,
no.
hot is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care where you're at.
I don't care who you are, man.
Yeah.
Hot as
All
hot.
Well, all right. So I think that's going to do it for us here at the SEC After Dark podcast on the Believe Network. Also coming at you on the video side on the Y'all's Conference Network.
And the picks will be on Locked On Ole Miss.
And the picks will be on the Locked On Ole Miss, so don't miss those. And we have a new look here. Glad Steve, the architect of this set, has given us a new set. He lost his hat, which
I feel naked. It's amazing.
it got lost in the rebuild.
I'm glad you ain't.
Yeah.
Becky, stop agreeing.
Becky over there going, yeah, Jake.
Yeah.
Glad somebody else said it. We had to go off the rails at least once. So
Yeah, at least once. The hat came off. The hat came off, and we went off the rails. So we got that.
there you go. The hat flew us off the rails. So, all right, we are SEC After Dark, presented by BetOnline on the Believe Network and Y'all's Conference Network. For Steven Willis, I'm Corey Burton. That's Jeb Beecham and Jake Thomas alongside. Becky is the voice of God on the producer. Thank you for joining the chat if you joined the chat. And we will see you back here next week to see how we did on our picks and to see how Alabama fared against Texas. So long. See you later. Of course, go Dogs.
Hotty
Roll
toddy.
Tide.